All right, and as you can see, we're a little early tonight. Well, from here on out, we, the good people at Cubfidential, are going to go on now at a new start time. That is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then right after this, go on over to the South Florida Tribune for Sports Exchange. I'm going to be on there. I've been invited to the party. Also, Jacob will be there. JB will be there. Candy might be there. She'll definitely be producing. And, of course, Scott will be there because it's his house. All right. And so, without further ado, let's talk some Cubs baseball. Shout out to Big Tariq in the background who's going to be doing some producing and everything. But let's go ahead on and bring JB Ellis in here. Yeah, we've got a little bit of winning Cubs baseball today. I think they pulled off the W today.
Yes, they did. Great game. Cubs taking 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. Got a lot to talk about. We're going to bring in Mr. Ubbs, the pundit, so we can go ahead and go over that and get into it. How you doing today?
Not bad. The rain is falling harder than Drew Smiley's career.
Wow, that was cold. So tell me about this. Let's start real quick. Good week in Cubland. Let's start with
good. Remember, they are literally 11-1-1 in the last 13 series.
Yes, they are. They are just on fire. Let's start with the Detroit series. 2 out of 3, big game from Hap. Taking, ninth inning RBI, wins it in game 2. Leiter Jr. got his 4th save. Tell me about the Detroit series. What'd you take out of it?
Well, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh in a little while. I know this part, but I'm just saying this thing about the Cubs. I am loving this year that they've made a comeback like this. And if I can say anything about Ross, we don't have to say Ross losses lately. We don't have to say this. And I do say this, tremendously nice guy, and he obviously knows how to motivate. You know what I'm saying? But He obviously knows how to do that. But there is just something with this team, and you know what it's reminding me of? It's reminding me of the 2001 Bears. It's like they had a bunch of strengths, one wicked weakness, and it shows up in the playoffs. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen. It's like the biggest thing about the Cubs is they are letting these really bad teams stay around. And you can let bad teams stay around and they don't do it. That's why they're bad. You can't let the Braves stay around. Not in the playoffs. Not on this thing. Not with their experience. And it's like they finally curb stomped Pittsburgh one game, and it's like about time because there's so many close games lately and there's some bad teams.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they should have taken 2 out of 3. I was like, they should have swept the Tigers. The games were all close, so I was a little disappointed with that. To me, that's not good. Why are they having trouble taking care of bad teams? What's the issue?
I don't think they're that great. I don't think they're that great of a team. I think they're a very motivated team. I think like a lot of these players want to keep Ross. Why? Well, he's Grandpa Ross. Remember that. A couple are still left. You know what I'm saying? It's like if they want to keep him, and he's probably a really good guy, and they're probably motivated. I don't know if it's a wonderful team that, let's see, outside of Steele and here and there, so Hendricks, and there's some here and there Hendricks, and maybe one other once in a while. The pitching shoddy, the starting pitching gets shoddy. Yeah. It's like I like the bullpen. Bullpen's there. But it's like I said, it's the 2001 Bears. There's one wicked weakness that'll show up in a bad time.
So, what do you take of Leiter? He's not the usual closer. He got his 4th save. What's your thought of that?
Depends on the time. I mean, depends on the time. It's like he gets his 4th save, but couldn't find a strike zone today. Could not find a strike zone today, and it's like it just depends which one are you going to get. And I mean, personally, what can we do? It's like we're long past the trade deadline. You can't exactly go get your. And I wouldn't want Aroldis anymore anyway. You know what I'm saying? Not at his age, and he could blow an arm out at any time with that speed. I wouldn't want him anymore anyway. So you do what you do, and you hope they get hot.
No, definitely. Now let's go to the Pittsburgh series. Now, 3 out of 4. I'm not going to complain. 3 out of 4.
No.
That to me, it's hard to get a 4-game sweep. These guys are major leaguers. They don't. Even bad teams, can win. So you win 3 out of 4. I'm happy. What do you take from that series?
Well, for one thing, Ian Happ had a great. Ian Happ had himself a great road trip. Had himself some great series, and he and Bellinger. Well, Bellinger's been the most consistent. Thanks to you, by the way, coming up with that. You're the one that said it. You're the one because being 205. You understand where I was at? 205 for 3 years cumulative. 176 one of the years before. You can understand why I didn't want that. You don't know if he's going to come back or not, but he did. And then remember, Happ was like 192 himself one year. So they both made their comebacks, So, but the thing about it, they finally curb stomped somebody in the game 4. In the final game, they finally curb stomped somebody, these are the teams you need to do. I don't mind the 3 out of 4 on this. I just wish there weren't so many close games.
No, without a doubt. I mean, they had a phenomenal series. They're scoring runs beyond belief. 20 runs in 2 games. Happ finally looked alive. I mean, I thought a couple of series ago he looked lost. It's
162, bud. It's 162. It's it happens sometimes. Everybody has a loss in the. I mean, we thought we were going to see 300 for a while. I'm just saying it's the way it goes. With for instance, like 280 to 300 with Dansby, he's about 250 right now.
No,
so it's like you never know.
Yeah, it's tough to go for 162. I don't disagree. Anything that you think about as far as the Pirates? Also, another thing taken out of the Pirates series. The Pirates haven't beaten the Cubs all year until they got the win, the first win that they got of that series. So, to me, that was great.
Well, the Pirates decided to extend a really bad manager because of a quick. I basically going off to a quick start with Derek Shelton, and that is the major league version of Mel Tucker, of one big moment, and then you pay him a pile of money. So you're going to have to let him go and pay him eventually. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to keep him another year, and he's not a good manager. So it's like they're just going to stay where they're at. So if the Cubs keep adding people, and if they could, add some big names in the offseason and stuff, and I don't see that. I mean, you got to remember, I've been saying for a few years now how the Cardinals are normally the most consistent. I can't see them staying horrible long. I'm shocked that they're this horrible now. I thought we'd be messing around with them in the 1-2. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. I completely agree with you. Let's keep it moving because we have a lot of stuff on the show tonight.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this Brewer series. So they go into the series on Monday. They lose a tough game where they couldn't move the runners along. They got beat. Come back and win last night. Daytime game today. They have a 2-1 lead, top of the 8th. They give it up, and then they come back and score and, win that game against the team in first place. Started the series out 4 games. They're out 3 now. A sweep would have been phenomenal. 2 out of 3 was necessary. So they got the job done. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to before we bring up Steele, which is obvious, I'm going to bring up Hendricks here. It's what I was saying last week and the week before. It's like right now he's come from ace and elite to quality starter. 2-3 runs, 6 innings. That's what you get out of your 4th guy. He's not his flaws now, what he used to never have. Like the people are stealing on him at will because he's a step off. Yeah, he's also throwing more pitches to set up the hitter. He said they throw 2 to 3. Now he's throwing about 4 or 5. He got a lot of 3-ball counts. Mind you, he makes up for it. He still doesn't walk a bunch. He doesn't walk a bunch, and he still catches, but he's not getting those 2-pitch outs anymore. So you're getting the 6 innings instead of the 8. Once in a while, you get an 8. Once in a while, you get an 8. Remember, he had 8.2, the 8.1 this year, in
Right.
one of the games. Then he had a one hitter. So it's like, so he'll get them. But to me, this is the time. He's at 3.5 ERA, and he could probably get to 3 at the end of the year, no matter what the record. This is the time to let him go for the next year. I'm just saying this now. It's because, they can say this, they can think they can get it, but you can get yourself a Texas Rangers or whoever that need a guy. No matter how Hendricks becomes the rest of his career, he's always going to be in 6-7 innings. And there are some teams out there that would desperately take that. And he's not going to get he's not going to get elite anymore. He'll get his occasional 8-9 innings. He'll get his occasional complete game. He'll get that, but he's not going to be there anymore. So it might be time to replace him, trade him off while he's got some value, and he sure does.
Without a doubt. So were you happy with the 3 series that we discussed tonight?
Yes, and speaking of the Hendricks, the Steele-Hendricks combination is beautiful. It is a couple of placement pitchers. One's lefty, one's righty.
Yes.
One's lefty, one's righty. It's a couple of placement pitchers, and Steele is where Hendricks used to be. Not necessarily 15 wins, but.
So we're keeping it moving because we have to prepare for the Sports Exchange in a little while. We're hyper after 3 great series we discussed, but we're on our way to Cincinnati. We got a big 3-game series there. We're going to be playing at Great America Ballpark. What do you think of this series? The Reds are 2 games back of us. The wild card is huge right now. We got a good spot there. We still got the Brewers in sight. What do we need to do here?
They're fading. Cincinnati's fading, but this is also the Cubs are not. They are not an elite team. They're a motivated team. There's a big difference. So the Cubs have to keep the motivation. The difference with an elite team motivated is like, for instance, like the Braves had lost about 7 out of 10, and then they came right darn back and won like 8 out of 11, right off the spot. Right afterwards. That's what an elite team does. A motivated team keeps up on the motivation they have, and they can die in a hurry with a bad couple series. So you've got to keep their motivation.
You talk about, hot teams. The Brewers were on an 8-game winning streak after Monday.
Yeah.
And before that started...
9 game.
Okay. And before that started, if I'm correct, the closest we got was 2.5 games back.
Mm-hmm.
So after taking 2 out of 3 from them this series, we basically only lost a half a game with them probably playing their best ball of the year.
Yeah.
How confident does that make you that there's actually a shot with a little bit over a month to go that we can catch them?
Big shot, no question. Stay motivated. Like I said, though, motivated teams different from a great team. It's like there's no guarantee the Cubs do it, but they stay motivated. They've got talent. They've got a lot of talent, and they've got a bullpen now. And the closer's obviously there with Azalea.
Well, we started last year when this show started. We had hoped that we'd have meaningful baseball in September.
Yeah.
We should have meaningful baseball all the way to the last weekend of the season, the rate it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, with the Reds, they just have to keep up the motivation. They have to keep up their play. I just hope that they can get a couple of the blowout games. It's like the Reds are sinking, but the Cubs, they keep these teams in it.
So let's go outside of Wrigley. Let's talk about a guy who hit his 300th homer. I believe it was today that he hit it. Bryce Harper, 309 batting average, 14 home runs, 53 RBIs. And is he going to get the Phillies back to the World Series? Is that something he could do?
That Phillies team just stays around, constantly stays around. They're consistent. I saw them in a game against the Braves this year where they were. I saw them against the Braves this year where they were, they were getting blown out. They lost like about 11-3, so they was down 9-0 in the second. So they had one of those bad games. But then I also saw Bryce hit a home run, and you have to see it for yourself in person when you see it. He's a unit, no question. And a 3-0. See, the thing is, what I noticed about that? 309. Just answer me this. I do not quite know. Was he injured some of the year?
I think he missed part of the year because 14 homers doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it seems like that. But the thing I like is that's on pace for 25, even in a full. He's focusing on both power and batting average. I like that.
Something that people don't do anymore.
I know he's that is see, and that's the thing is like it's what I always talk about with Bonds when he had 370 average or 73 homers. That's insane. I like both. I like power, and it shows you can do it.
Best player of our lifetime by far, Barry Bonds. And the sad thing was he was the best player of our lifetime 2 different times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Before allegedly PEDs and after allegedly PEDs.
Truthfully, I could care less if he had PEDs because.
Oh, but he was 2 different players. He was still a power hitter, but he had so much more speed when he was with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then when he was in San Francisco, it was pure power and hitting.
What I mean, you're right on that. But as I said, I could care less about his PEDs because you had like Jeremy Giambi doing PEDs. And
listen, it wasn't against the rules.
No.
And he was never caught doing it. So,
PEDs don't give you a good eye like he had. No. He had an amazing eye.
No. I mean, best hitter and probably the best player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
By far. And, the fact that he's not a Hall of Famer, disgusting.
Well, it's a bunch of politics because he was terrible with the media, which I don't blame him. But which I don't blame him. But if he was a buddy with the media, they wouldn't care. It's just a bunch of politics.
Let's talk about someone that should be a Hall of Famer. Let's talk about Loyola's Chicago sister Jean. She threw out the first pitch to celebrate her 104th birthday. What impact has she had on sports?
Well, she's already better than Drew Smiley. No. No. Wonderful. And it's like, you want to know what it means when you make 104? You talk about Sister Jean, means God's on her side. You know what I'm saying? But the biggest thing about, what keeps you that age? Peace. No chaos inside of you. She doesn't have chaos inside of her. She's happy when she wakes up because she's happy she has another day. She's happy to watch sports. She's happy to everything. She's 104, so not a lot are going to be walking anymore. But she's still happy to see Earth and to breathe. And so she has peace inside of her. That keeps people keeps people alive a lot more than chaos does. Chaos that kills them early.
Can't agree with you more. Great woman.
You can't agree or disagree.
No, I can't agree with you more.
I know. I was like, for a second, it was sounding,
Yeah, no. One of the great fans, to see her on the sidelines for Loyola, and her throwing out the first pitch. What a special thing. So, yep. Cup or dud, 85 wins. I don't know who comes up with these.
I can say 88. I can say 88. I can. It's like, and you got to remember the Cardinals in our lifetime have 86 in the World Series, 83 in a World Series. So 88's a possibility. They won the division with Dusty with 88. It's a possible.
Listen, they're 9 games over 500. They have 71 right now.
Yeah.
They should, at the worst, play 500 ball the rest of the way. That puts them over 85.
Well, Washington in 19, here's the thing. They were 19-31. They changed the world as far as the people's mindset. So did the Blues that year, because the Blues were in hockey dead last in January and comes all the way back. And not only that, but takes the first one, takes the first seed, and then wins it all.
No,
so it's like both those teams changed everything. So it's possible.
So I'm going to give you the ultimate cup or dud.
Mm-hmm.
The last weekend of the season, do the games matter?
Yes. Oh, yes. No question. Just because, I talked to a buddy of mine when we talked Cubs, and the one thing I said is, like, we have to keep winning these games because the one thing about it is, like, and yes, to answer somebody's question, we're going to probably keep Ross if he gets a winning season. We're probably keeping him. But it was a lot of his decisions that got us in the situation where we have to win now.
It's very true. I think this is a special team. I think that the last weekend of the season is going to matter. Do they win the division? I don't know. Yes or no. I think it's going to be close. But they're making the playoffs, and this is a fun team to watch.
I mean, part of the thing with Ross, just to say this real fast, part of the thing with Ross is I would love to see him even in a World Series. The Cubs would motivate themselves all the way there. It's going to get, but you know what it is? It's going to get him a job forever. But it's going to be bittersweet to me, is because it's going to change everything in the fact that what you used to do is the Brian Snitker way and have years in the minors to go in and dominate as the Braves, like with the Braves. Now he's dominated from day one because he was in the minors for years. Then you get someone like Ross who comes in, struggles some, and then he's caught himself with lightning.
Listen, this is the start of something special. We got a lot more of these young kids coming up. We're going to probably have one of the young pitchers who's down in South Bend on the show in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, good.
I'm not going to say who yet, but you're going to like it. Probably going to come on. I've been in touch with his dad. Great family. He's excited. So a lot of good stuff. Where can people find you, Jacob Christner?
Sundays on a show called The Professor and the Pupils. And that's the Mondays. The Mondays is with the Sniper and the Pundit off the top rope talk, and we're talking wrestling. And we're going to be probably doing a review thing really soon, and in memory of Terry Funk, excuse me. Wednesdays is this show, and then the Sports Exchange. Thursdays is Pundit's Pundit, and then Fridays, When They Need Me Off the Bench, Gauntlet.
You're everywhere, just like Sideline.
And I was also in a movie just recently.
Nice.
I had a 30-second thing in the thing with a couple of lines. So once I get the scene, I'll send it to you.
You are everywhere. I love it. Bring in Denzel Snipes for a second.
Yep.
Come on in here, Denzel. So I got the two guys that do Off the Ropes. Tell me about this show, because I love wrestling. I grew up with it. It's great, and I love the fact that you guys are doing this on Monday. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Top Rope Talk is basically all pro wrestling all the time. It's the first pro wrestling show on the Sideline Sports Network. We have really great discussions about throwback wrestling. We also do recaps of the previous week in Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and NXT. We have our weekly finish or DQ, which is kind of like the buy or sell, kind of like a cover dot on here.
And one debate.
Yeah, and at least one debate as well. And it's all around fun, and it's linked to also not only Sideline Sports, but my group on Facebook, Wrestling Discussions. Be sure and find that on Facebook if you want to join. Of course, come on in. We have live threads and whatnot. But Top Rope Talk, yep, it's new, it's hot. Tune in.
Oh yeah, and plus once a month we're going to be doing little Mystery Science Theater 3000 things. We did a test run that looked like it worked pretty well. So we're going to be doing those. Like the next one's going to be a Terry Funk memorial. Do one against Stan Hansen.
Yes.
Best wrestling show ever, guys. I love it. Real quick before we go, I just looked at the NFL schedule. Monday, October 2nd, Dave DeRochere's Seattle Seahawks, Hawk Talk, come all the way to Jake and my MetLife Stadium to play the Giants on Monday Night Football. How crazy is that? Can you imagine what that show on Sideline Sports on Tuesday
I definitely will be tuning in.
Put you three on one screen. Put you three on one screen and Shearer on another.
I almost feel like we should live stream that game.
Actually, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I tune in.
I really think we should. We should get the Hawk Talk crew and me and Jake, and we should live stream Monday Night Football. I think that would be the move.
Do it in a format like the Mannings.
Nice.
Do it like a format like the Mannings. You could have somebody in a different room. You could do the thing. Whoever knows their sport. I mean, David O'Shea's obviously who knows their football. He can do that on the board. He can do all that stuff.
I'm telling you, I just happen to look at the schedule because we got so many great events coming up in the beginning of October, the end of September, the playoffs in baseball. The Cubs are going to be involved. We got the IBWAA first ever award ceremony.
Yes.
So I'm looking at the calendar, and I see those pesky birds, flying to the dumps in Jersey. Like, wow, it's going to be fun.
Well, it's going to be. I mean, if Gino holds up, you got to remember you do not normally see somebody who struggled as long as he did find somebody that can get him. But if he holds up and keeps a career like himself, they're going to be interesting.
I think we got to talk about live streaming that game. But till next week, let's go Cubs. Let's keep winning. Take care of the Reds.
Dude, the colors keep changing on your end. You look like you chewed one of that gum from Willy Wonka.
I'm in the special effects room this week.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll see you all in the Sports Exchange in about 20 minutes. Till then, let's go Cubs. See you next week.
Take care.
Drake, take us out.